In my past life, I stood by Shui Zhao until all abandoned him. Yet he strangled me to death to marry my sister. My body was discarded in a mass grave, unclaimed by anyone. Those relatives and friends I had always cherished and never wronged, all of them, seeking favor with Shui Zhao, who had been in theft as a prince for quelling the rebellion, suddenly severed ties with me. They spat upon my corpse with utter contempt. In the end, the one who gathered my remains was Lin Heng, the hostage prince I had once toyed with. After being murdered on my wedding day by my husband, my sister, and my personal maid, I reincarnated back to 10 days before the wedding. This time, I ordered all gates of the princess's residence sealed shut, entry permitted, exit forbidden. Then, I ordered my personal maid, Biyun, to be beaten to death with clubs. I calculated the time. Today was the 6th day of the month. Soon, the imperial edict summoning me to the palace would arrive. I coldly watched her corpse, instructing someone to keep a close watch. This was the first grand gift I presented to my husband upon my return. A quarter of an hour later, eunuch Zhou, Father Emperor's personal attendant, arrived at my residence to deliver the imperial summons. When I reached the imperial study, my younger sister, second Princess Suishi, was emerging in high spirits. Her gaze instantly turned haughty upon seeing me. She stormed over, deliberately bumping into my shoulder. Don't think that just because you hold your mother's imperial decree, you can keep Shui Zhao trapped in this marriage. He doesn't love you, even if we wed. He'll never love you. She was right. It was indeed the decree my mother left me that bound Shui Zhao. Before her passing years ago, she had issued this decree forbidding the annulment of my marriage to Shui Zhao. She knew I loved Shui Zhao. She knew I feared father would renege and give my betrothal to Suishi instead. This decree was the only thing she could do for me, her daughter. In her final moments as a mother, she collapsed into my arms, her life ebbing away. Tears soaked my palms as the color drained from her face, once as radiant as spring blossoms. Weeping, she said she had ruined me. Yet she didn't want me to suffer. A parent's love for their child is profound and far-reaching. She said. She had spoiled me. She admitted, making me crave only the pleasures of the moment. Choking back sobs, I told her I had no regrets. With great effort, she wiped my tears and shook her head. How could there be no regrets? I didn't understand her words then, thinking she was speaking to me. It wasn't until I died at Shui Zhao's hands in my previous life that I realized my mother's tears weren't shed for me. Those heart-wrenching words at her deathbed weren't meant for my ears, she was speaking them to herself. As the eldest daughter of the esteemed Wang clan of Langia, a century-old family of the Jiangdong region, she was the jewel of the household, cherished since childhood. One might expect her to be haughty and aloof. Yet she rejected the noble suitor her maternal grandfather had chosen for her. Entering the palace alone, she joyfully married the man she loved, defiant as the most untamable wild horse. Yet she ultimately perished by the very hands of her beloved. That radiant, vivid hue of hers never bloomed proudly within the palace walls. Instead, it withered away in bowl after bowl of poison tonics. Such a bitter death, torturing her proud spirit for over a decade until her very last breath was extinguished. Having studied medical texts since childhood, how could she not recognize the poison in the tonics her father, the emperor, had given her? But her heart had long withered like dead wood, yearning only for the light to go out. Her final breath was swallowed along with years of blood, tears, and regret. It was precisely because of this imperial decree that Shui Zhao, in my past life, had no strength left to resist and could only marry me. But in this life, I no longer wish to marry him. I refuse to endure the humiliation of my wedding night once more. On the night of our marriage, I waited with eager anticipation for him to lift my bridal veil. Instead, it was Suishi who came. She collapsed into Shui Zhao's arms. using a balance beam to lift my veil. She covered her mouth with a sneer. Sister, you look truly beautiful today. Shui Zhao held her as they fell onto my wedding bed. She's not half as beautiful as you. I fought back tears, grabbing Shui Zhao's trouser leg. I cried, begging him to leave, pleading for him to depart, begging him to spare me some dignity. This is my wedding night. Even if he hadn't come tonight, even if he hadn't come at all, it would have been better than this humiliation. He laughed and kicked me aside. Tonight was meant to be my wedding night with your sister. You're the one who's in the way. If I were you, I'd smash my head against a wall right now. But I didn't die. I merely lived a life worse than death. I will never forget that night. I never knew the moon's light could be so deathly pale, nor that my heart could grow so utterly dark. I became a stagnant pool of water, perfectly still and lifeless, just as Shui Zhao desired. He could grind me down in every way, yet not a sound escaped me. But I never imagined he could hate me so intensely because of Sui Shi. Killing me wasn't enough to quench his rage. He had to cast my bones into the mass grave, where they'd endure wind, rain, and scorching sun day after day. Only then would he feel truly satisfied. That night of utter despair felt like a slow execution. Second by second, the biting cold outside sliced through my flesh, and even the dogs barking around me seemed to mock my helplessness. I never want to experience that again. I only want him to pay for his crimes with his own blood. Sui Shi stared at me, her breath warm against my ear. Any last words? Chao Hua, how pitiful you are. The imperial decree could keep Shui Zhao's body, but not his heart. What good is a betrothal if there's no love? It's the unloved who deserve to be cast aside. I gave her a half smile, half scowl. This was outside the imperial study, with elderly ministers waiting nearby to present their petitions. My sister, after all, cherished her reputation above all else. I seized her wrist, deliberately raising my voice with sharp words. You are a princess of this realm. Though born to a concubine, you hold noble status. How can you stoop to such disgraceful behavior over a mere man? If you want him, come tell this palace. I'll give him to you. No need to come crying and making a scene before our father, threatening to hang yourself. Don't you dare let the officials know. They'll think our royal princesses are so undesirable that they resort to coveting their own sister's prince consort. Sui Shi blushed crimson, her eyes darting nervously toward the ministers. Her voice trembled. You're talking nonsense. She hadn't expected me to disregard imperial dignity so blatantly, exposing her in public. She shoved me away, covered her face, and ran off sobbing. I sneered inwardly. Truly, when one abandons all shame and throws caution to the wind, nothing can be feared. In the imperial study, Shui Zhao knelt on the floor, clutching an ivory tablet. I had barely knelt and hadn't even begun my greeting when Father Emperor seized the inkstick beside him and hurled it at me, roaring, "How dare you act so arrogantly? Is this how a sister behaves?" I closed my eyes as liquid streamed down my forehead, dampening my lashes. All I saw was a blur of crimson shadows. The pungent stench filled my nostrils, choking my breath. The air I drew into my lungs stung like needles. The inkstick rolled across the floor, shattering into two pieces and leaving a trail of black smears. I felt a pang of regret. Pine soot ink was precious, especially this medicinal variety, worth its weight in gold. Years ago, Sui Shi pushed me from the attic, shattering my kneecap. Rainy days brought stabbing pain, making even standing impossible. When my grandfather learned of this, he submitted 3 petitions accusing Sui Shi and her mother, the Empress Dowager. The emperor suppressed the documents, pretending nothing had happened. Unwilling to accept this, my grandfather vowed to seek justice for me. During court, he publicly accused them again before all the ministers. Yet the emperor dismissed it with a casual remark about sisters quarreling. My grandfather, heartbroken for me, kept vigil by my bedside daily. When the imperial physicians declared there was no cure, he turned to medical texts himself. Eventually, he heard of a folk remedy from Daoping County, a craftsman who made medicinal ink. He said grinding it with wine and applying it with a warm salt poultice could ease joint pain. But the ingredients for this ink were costly and rare. A single small piece was said to be worth 10,000 gold pieces. It wasn't until my grandfather passed away in my previous life that I learned from my cousin that the craftsman who made this medicinal ink in Daoping County had long since died. My grandfather lingered in that area for half a month, venturing into the mountains himself to gather herbs. He nearly lost his life to a venomous snake bite, dragging his sickly body through sleepless days and nights. He finally crafted this tiny piece of ink for me. Now it lies shattered into pieces by Father Emperor's blow. Unable to bear the sight, I suppressed my pent-up fury and spoke calmly, Father Emperor, please calm your anger. I do not know what offense I have committed to provoke such wrath. Whatever the reason, you must not harm your health over me. Suishi is your sister. To disparage her so before the censors outside, what are your intentions? A thin, cold smile tugged at my lips. When Suishi pushed me from the tower and nearly killed me, he couldn't be bothered to investigate, choosing instead to turn a blind eye and brush it off lightly. Now, I merely admonished Suishi a couple of times, and he's so distressed he can't sit still. Truly a loving father. I know father is angry with me, but your daughter only spoke out because the censors were present. Suishi, being a princess, has every word and deed scrutinized by the officials. Her ambiguous relationship with my prince consort must be stopped. If word spreads, it could tarnish the royal family's reputation. Your daughter only acted for her own good. Shui Zhao shot a displeased glance my way. Father snorted, you always have excuses. What about this ink? What's the story behind it? I exclaimed in surprise. This pine soot ink arrived only yesterday. It has been carefully stored in my chambers. How did it end up here? Shui Zhao replied coolly, Princess. Why quibble over trifles? The Chancellor, acting on imperial orders to relieve disaster in the north, expended considerable manpower and resources on his return journey to craft this ostentatious piece of pine soot ink for you. As a princess sustained by the people's offerings, you indulge in such extravagance while disaster victims go hungry. Does this not break their hearts? Moreover, both you and the second princess are disciples of the Chancellor. Yet he prepared gifts solely for you, disregarding the second princess's dignity. Who can say this wasn't a deliberate attempt to sow discord, driving you sisters to quarrel and turn against each other? Father's gaze turned icy as he demanded, how do you explain this? I knelt and choked out. This ink was indeed sought by my maternal grandfather, but not for my personal gain. My maternal grandfather and I consulted ancient texts. The Compendium of Materia Medica states that pine soot medicinal ink can soothe aching joints. 3 years ago, during His Majesty's personal campaign, he suffered an arrow wound to the shoulder that remains unhealed to this day. Unable to bear this, I entrusted my maternal grandfather to seek this ink as a tribute for father. Father discerns the finest details. My maternal grandfather did not seek to sow discord between me and my sister. He merely sought medicinal ingredients for ink making. After being bitten by a venomous snake, he nearly lost his life. Truly, there were no spare ingredients left to craft a second piece. Minister Shui's insinuations are truly disheartening. As my words fell, the surrounding air grew still. In my previous life, Shui Zhao used this ink to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, not only sentencing me to flogging, but also seizing the opportunity to frame my maternal grandfather. The emperor, already wary of my maternal grandfather as an imperial in-law and leader of a prominent aristocratic clan, seized upon this pretext. He accused my grandfather of sowing discord among the imperial sisters, causing friction between the 2 princesses, and used this to condemn him. He issued an edict confining my grandfather to house arrest, appointing Shui Zhao's father to temporarily assume my grandfather's official duties and exercise the powers of the chancellor. He also ordered me never to see my grandfather again, even when he lay dying and wished to see me one last time. The emperor refused, ordering guards to block my way. My maternal grandfather served as chancellor under 2 successive reigns, assisting 2 emperors. After the previous emperor's death, his younger brother, the regent prince, saw the young emperor as vulnerable. He conspired with Shui Zhao's father to seize power. My grandfather and General Xie divided their forces to guard the palace and the capital, jointly thwarting the coup and securing the young emperor's ascension. Back then, my father longed to exterminate the Shui clan and the regent prince. Yet now, to consolidate imperial power and weaken the aristocratic houses, he not only reinstated the treacherous regent prince but also elevated a Shui family woman to imperial consort. He granted authority to Shui Zhao and other Shui heirs, foolishly hoping to use them to strike down the noble clans dominating the court. In my previous life, I was foolish, clinging to hope for my father until the moment I learned the truth of my mother's death. Only then did I truly abandon all faith in him. The blood of the royal house flows through my veins. From the moment I was born, it was destined that my father and I would be irreconcilable enemies. Either he must die, or I must die. There can only be slaughter, never reconciliation. My existence, my mother's existence, the Wang family's existence, to him, we were all stumbling blocks on his path to absolute power. Thus, he propped up the Shui clan, doted on Sui Shi, and showered favor upon consort Shui. These were all carefully chosen pawns he used to counter the aristocratic families. In my previous life, to eliminate my grandfather's family, he forced the regent prince into rebellion and ordered Shui Zhao to lead the counterattack. Yet when Shui Zhao subdued the rebels, he slaughtered the entire Wang clan and framed the regent prince, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Shui Zhao was ultimately enfeoffed as Prince of Langia for quelling the rebellion. Whose rebellion did he quell? Whose fief did he receive? He subdued my maternal grandfather's clan, the Langia Wang family of Jiangzhou. He received the blood of hundreds of my Wang family members and the fief that dominated Jiangzhou. The title Prince of Langia, how utterly ironic. Soon after, the new emperor ascended the throne. He was the son of consort Shui, the younger brother of Sui Shi. On the very night of his coronation, I was killed by Shui Zhao. My face was mutilated, and my body was discarded in a mass grave, unclaimed. Only Lin Heng, the hostage I raised for 13 years as my stand-in, retrieved my body, avenged me, and perished alongside Shui Zhao, meeting a gruesome end. Father, you have wronged Qiaohua. Father helped me up with a forced smile. It's rare to see such devotion in you. He turned to rebuke Shui Zhao. You too. How dare you act without understanding the situation? What are you standing there for? Go fetch the imperial physician. If her face is disfigured, how will you face your wedding day? I wiped my eyes with my sleeve, clearing the blood from my vision. Only then did I realize that what had streaked across the floor when the inkstick fell wasn't ink, it was my blood. Crouching down, I carefully gathered the shattered pieces of the inkstick with a handkerchief, wrapping them up. These were my maternal grandfather's cherished creations, now so utterly ruined. I pinched my palm, forcing myself to calm down. No need for the physician. This is but a minor injury. I shall return to the manor to tend to it. He was only too eager to see me gone. All these years, whenever he summoned me, it was only to beat or berate me. Never before had he been so thoroughly humiliated by me. His inner fury was palpable, yet he maintained the facade of a wise ruler and benevolent father. Very well. Shui Zhao, escort Qiaohua out. You too. He sighed dramatically. What a pair of troublemakers. On the eve of your marriage. Still so inconsiderate, you nearly embarrassed your father. Shui Zhao feigned remorse. It is all my fault. I sneered inwardly. Of course it's your fault. Outside, a light drizzle had begun to fall. Shui Zhao and I walked out of the palace gates one after the other, mindful that they were still within the palace grounds. He put on a perfect facade, a face of such insincere smiles that even I felt defeated. Outside the palace gates, a slender figure as graceful as a bamboo shoot caught my eye. I halted my steps. The person wore white robes, holding a blue oil paper umbrella aloft. Cold and distant, a red silk cord was tied at their waist as they walked slowly toward me. I was momentarily speechless. Through the misty rain, our eyes met. He placed the umbrella over my head, expressionless as he took out a handkerchief to wipe the blood from my forehead. An indelible chill radiated from his entire being. At this very moment in my past life, Lin Hun discovered I had saved him only because I mistook him for Shui Zhao's substitute. Enraged, he stormed out of the princess's residence. 13 years had passed since I rescued him at age 7 from those spoiled brats in the hostage residence. This was his first time leaving the residence, clearly. He was furious. Chu's military might grew stronger by the day. In half a month, he could have returned to Chu. Yet he did not. On the day I married Shui Zhao in my past life, he broke into my bridal chamber, lifted my veil, and with a trembling voice, crushed his own dignity. He begged me in utter humiliation, "I'll be Shui Zhao's substitute for the rest of my life. Just come with me. Sister. I can't live without you." All these years I'd pampered him. He'd grown stubborn, free-spirited, and haughtily self-assured. I'd never seen him like this before, eyes red, dignity and pride cast aside, bowing his head to beg me. But I shattered his pride. I smiled like a blooming flower, "Lin Heng. I already have Shui Zhao. What use is a substitute?" All I wanted then was for him to give up on me, leave Jean, and return to Chu to live a peaceful life. His face drained of color as he placed the veil over my head. His voice choked with self-mockery as he laughed hoarsely, "Sister, you truly have a heart of stone." Recalling how he died in my past life, my heart twisted in agony. This lifetime, I vowed to treat him well. "Why are you here?" I stared at him, feeling an unusual tension. His gaze fixed intently on the wound on my forehead as he croaked, "To take you home." Shui Zhao still stood beside me. I had a grand ceremony to bestow upon him. I could only whisper soothingly into Lin Heng's ear, "Would you wait for me in the palanquin?" He gave me a deep look, his peripheral gaze coldly sweeping over Shui Zhao. He gave a soft snort, tucked away his handkerchief, and climbed into the palanquin. Shui Zhao sneered, "You've got some nerve. He's just a hostage. Yet you dare let him ride in the imperial palanquin." A smile touched my lips. "He's my man. If I tell him to board, he dares to board. Just like when Sui Shi let you into her bedchamber, you couldn't refuse either. Could you?" Shui Zhao's expression darkened. He warned me. "Today's events have nothing to do with Sui Shi. If you dare to make her life difficult, don't blame me for being impolite." My smile didn't reach my eyes. "Minister Shui, how exactly would you be impolite? Kill this palace? You are merely the imperial consort's nephew, while I am the legitimate daughter of the empress. Behind me stands the entire Wang clan. Why the emperor supports you and the Shui family, we both know the truth. Why put on airs before me? The emperor ordered you to escort me back, but you dare not exceed your station. I can only trouble General Shui to drive my carriage." Furious, he finally tore off his mask of refinement. "You dare order me to drive a carriage? I am a full-fledged general of the middle guard. You Chao Hua. You what? I am a princess. You are a subject. How dare you disobey my command?" He gritted his teeth, then sneered coldly, "Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You found a look-alike to provoke me, hoping I'll change my mind. Give up that delusion. If not for that imperial decree, I would have annulled our betrothal long ago. I shot her a withering glance, lifted my skirt, and stepped into the palanquin. Reluctantly, he went to drive the horses. Inside the palanquin, Lin Heng leaned against the wall, his gaze cold and intense as he fixed it on me. His long-fingered hand held a small porcelain bottle. "Come here." I drew closer, leaning my head toward him with a sweet smile. "You're back." He pursed his lips, glaring at me before applying ointment to my wound with a cold snort. "I haven't forgiven you." I tugged his wrist, batting my eyelashes. "Please." "Ah, Hung. Forgive me." His brow furrowed slightly, his gaze probing, yet he remained silent. In the blink of an eye, the carriage reached the gates of my princess residence. Shui Zhao leaped down and climbed into his own carriage, turning to leave. "Did I say you could leave?" Shui Zhao's steps halted as he climbed into his sedan chair. He whipped around, glaring at me furiously. "What do you want now?" I let out a derisive snort. I called for attendants to carry over Bai Yun, who had been beaten to death with clubs, and tossed her onto his carriage. Shui Zhao's face turned ashen. His fists clenched so tightly the veins on his knuckles stood out. "What are you doing?" I replied softly. "You bribed my servants to steal from me and plot against me. Naturally, I must clean house. Since Lord Shui is so fond of my maidservant, I shall gift her to you. And along with her, this." I tossed the imperial decree from my mother to Shui Zhao, my smile radiant. "You've always wanted to annul our betrothal and marry Suishi, haven't you?" I've agreed. This marriage is off. How delighted Lord Shui must be. Shui Zhao stared at the edict in his hands, utterly incredulous, speechless for a moment. All his scheming and plotting had never broken my resolve. Neither threats nor bribes could make me hand over this imperial decree. Yet now I'd handed it over so easily. He clutched the decree open, his gaze fixed on me like a predator. "What do you mean by this?" I stepped down from the carriage, holding Lin Heng's hand, my smile cold and detached. "Nothing special. I simply have someone I care for now. I don't want you anymore. So I'm setting you free to fly away with your Sui Shi." I expected Lin Heng to grasp my hand in excitement upon hearing this. But he didn't. Instead, his entire body stiffened as he stared at me. His brow furrowed deeper, and the gaze he cast upon me gradually grew icy. After Shui Zhao stormed off in fury, messengers arrived from the Wang family, saying my maternal grandfather and cousin wished to see me. I had so much to say to Lin Heng, so I took him with me onto the Wang family carriage. Inside, I chattered on endlessly, but Lin Heng remained silent, only staring at me without blinking. "What's wrong? Are you still upset about the stand-in business? Please don't be angry anymore." Lin Heng suddenly gripped my waist, pulling me close. His cool, piercing gaze slowly shifted to my face, his eyes intensely scrutinizing me. "You never spoke to me like this before. Chao Hua. Have you reincarnated too?" I was instantly speechless. My mouth opened, but all words caught in my throat. He stared into my eyes, his thin lips parting slightly. "You know I died for you in my past life. So this time you want to make amends, right?" I swallowed hard and nodded. A flicker of amusement touched his eyes. Leaning against the jade pillow, he reached up to grasp my chin, his fingertips gently caressing my skin as his voice softened. "Then you'd better keep your word. Make it worth my while. I won't accept anything less than your entire self." Though the snake venom in my grandfather's body had been purged, his health remained fragile. I sent my maidservant to the palace with my calling card to summon Physician Zhang. Physician Zhang was the one my mother had left for me, the only court physician I truly trusted. After taking his pulse, Physician Zhang requested the prescription previously issued by the imperial physician sent by the emperor. He studied it repeatedly, his brow furrowed. But what could be wrong? Knowing the emperor personally dispatched physicians after my grandfather's injury, Even if he truly sought to kill him, he wouldn't tamper with the prescription so blatantly. The prescription itself was sound, and the 2 added tonics were perfectly fine. Yet after several days of use, the old gentleman's condition only deteriorated. There must be. He stopped short. I asked my cousin if anything unusual had appeared in my grandfather's chambers recently, or if His Majesty had bestowed any gifts. My cousin now enjoyed a prosperous official career, serving in the Ministry of Rights. Another promotion was imminent. He was one of the few young talents the Wang family had produced in recent years. Yet in my previous life, he had met such a tragic end. On my wedding night, when Shui Zhao humiliated me, he took my side. He went to the Shui residence and beat Shui Zhao severely. The next day, he died inexplicably in his own mansion. The imperial physician declared it a sudden death. In the funeral hall, Shui Zhao, like a vengeful specter, pulled my hand to lift the white cloth from my cousin's face. He whispered in my ear, "It was poisoned wine, personally bestowed by your father the emperor." I merely fed it to him. He was so stubborn, I had to break 4 of his teeth before I could force it down. My dear, my hands ached terribly. Gazing at my cousin, now composed, dignified, and peerlessly distinguished, my nose stung with sorrow. No. My cousin pondered for a moment. No. But Consort Shui summoned mother and bestowed a pair of hairpins. "I'll go at once." Physician Zhang examined the hair ornaments meticulously. The fragrance on this golden-laid jade is artificial, not natural. It was meant to mask the strychnine within. This poison not only violates the 18 contraindications of the medicine His Excellency consumed, but even prolonged inhalation could prove fatal. Your daily visits to tend to the old gentleman are nothing short of hastening his demise. My cousin flew into a rage, smashing objects within reach. The Wang clan sacrificed our entire lineage to propel him to power. Grandfather incurred the hatred of both the Shui family and the regent prince. All these years, open and covert attacks have never ceased. How dare he? How dare he do this? My maternal grandfather rebuked him. Such lack of composure. If I pass away, how will you uphold the Wang family's honor? Chao Hua, come here. I trembled with rage. In my past life, when my grandfather passed suddenly, both my cousin and I believed it was the snake venom within him. Only now did I realize it was all the handiwork of my so-called benevolent father, the emperor. What are your thoughts? Chao Hua. My grandfather reached out a trembling hand to stroke my hair. The corners of his sagging eyes gradually moistened. He sighed deeply. When I die, who will protect my Chao Hua? My cousin shouted. I'll protect her. What are you afraid of? Grandfather? You're so reckless. You'll never accomplish anything. My cousin snorted in defiance, plopping down in a chair and turning his back on grandfather, a sight both laughable and heartbreaking. After grandfather passed in my previous life, my cousin also died at Shui Zhao's hands. Truly, there was no one left in this world to protect me. My heart ached unbearably, as long as the Wang family stood. Zhao Hua was the legitimate princess of the Jin dynasty. Even if the emperor disliked her, he must grant her due dignity. But if the Wang family fell, my mother would be the daughter of a traitor, and Zhao Hua would be the descendant of a traitor. Zhao Hua and the Wang family shared a fate: rise together, fall together. If we did not rebel, we would all be fish on the chopping block, facing the danger of hanging at any moment. Rebellion against the throne, the crime of treason, a capital offense. Yet my very existence is treason. The palace is not my home. The man seated upon the high dais is my father-in-law, not my father. Capital offense, from the moment of my birth. The charge was laid upon me. What crime have I committed? My crime lies in my maternal grandfather being a powerful minister, in my maternal clan being a great family. The common man is innocent. But to possess a jade is to be guilty, this is my crime. My maternal grandfather held me close, patting my shoulder. His voice was choked with emotion, yet still as resonant as a great bell. Then I will rebel for Chao Hua. He dismissed everyone except me. Your cousin told me you gave Shui Zhao the imperial decree your mother left behind. You voluntarily withdrew from the marriage. Cough. True to the Wang lineage. I knew you wouldn't remain stubborn for long. I felt a pang of shame in the past. I was the thoughtless one, dragging my grandfather into this. Family is family, there's no burden to speak of. We rise and fall together. You see the current situation clearly. What are your thoughts? I patted my grandfather's back to help him breathe easier. Father's gamble is reckless. He seeks to use the regent prince and the Shui clan to suppress you and Uncle Xia. But it's like trying to skin a tiger. Most of the Shui family in court are civil officials, posing little threat. Only Shui Zhao holds the rank of general of the Middle Army, overseeing military affairs. The regent prince commands troops and fiefs granted by the late emperor. He was already discontented when father ascended the throne. How could he willingly become the blade father uses to eliminate the aristocratic clans? The conflict between them is irreconcilable. With just a little provocation, they will turn against each other in an instant. What is your plan? Uncle Xia commands the northern garrison troops. Should the time come, the regent prince will surely rebel. If Uncle Xia refuses, reveal the truth about His Majesty poisoning you. Uncle Xia is a shrewd man. He understands the principle of mutual dependence better than we do. Should the Wang family face calamity, his Qinjun Xia clan will not fare well either. But how can you be certain the regent prince will rebel? All these years, he's been restrained by your northern army, and his arrogance has tempered considerably. He will rebel. Give me half a month, and he will. I am absolutely certain. In his previous life, the regent prince truly harbored no rebellious intent. It was His Majesty who forced him into rebellion. The emperor decreed that his only daughter, Princess Sui Yan, be taken as empress. That very night, Princess Sui Yan perished within the palace walls. The regent prince, childless for years, cherished his sole daughter like a precious jewel. She was the very apple of his eye. When the regent prince rebelled, my father ordered Shui Zhao to lead the central army to suppress the uprising. Yet Shui Zhao deliberately opened the city gates wide, allowing the regent prince's iron host to enter the capital. He then turned and slaughtered the entire Wang family, framing the regent prince for the crime. The Wang family thus lost its foothold in the court, and Uncle Xia resigned his post to live in obscurity. In an instant, the emperor's greatest threat was eliminated, and the Shui family's influence became unrivaled. I calculated the days. In 10 days' time, the emperor would issue an edict summoning Sui Yan to the palace to prepare for the empress's coronation ceremony. Whom do you and Uncle Xia intend to support? I asked obliquely. The emperor has few heirs, with only one son born to consort Shui. My grandfather coughed violently twice. Gasping for breath, Prince Lingyan is of the late emperor's bloodline, sharing the same mother as His Majesty. I tucked the quilt around my grandfather and whispered my true purpose for coming. Uncle Xia commands the northern palace guards. All 30,000 palace troops now in the capital trace their lineage to the Xia family. I implore you to secure the deployment orders for the northern palace army from Uncle Xia. Only 7,000 men are needed. In 10 days, they will serve a vital purpose for Chao Hua. This task is arduous. Yet in our current predicament, we are like a boat against the current. If we do not advance, we will be swept backward. If the two great clans of Wang and Xia cannot unite as one, then in the days to come, when our kin are drenched in blood, who among us will escape? Before departing, Imperial physician Zhang shot me a look that held unspoken words. Seizing a moment when few were present, he pulled me aside and whispered, the other day, when young Master Lin came to the Imperial Medical Bureau for medicine, I inadvertently took his pulse. He is afflicted by a poisonous charm. His days are numbered. Your Highness must expel him from the estate without delay. Should he die suddenly, you will inevitably be implicated. Impossible. I've watched him grow up these past decades. Who could have slipped a bug poison under my nose? In my past life, Lin Heng was perfectly healthy. Moreover, I've nurtured him with meticulous care all these years. No one could have slipped through the cracks. This poison is vicious. The Chu people excel in poisonous arts. This poison has been with him since birth. If you cannot bear to part with him, summon a shaman from Chu to see if the poison can be neutralized. If not, you must banish him immediately. On the way back to the mansion, Lin Heng showed no signs of illness whatsoever. He even had the leisure to catch 2 fish from the river for me, saying he'd make soup for dinner. He didn't look sick at all. He seemed as lively as a dragon. Unsettled, I sent a carrier pigeon to my cousin, asking him to bring a shaman from Chu. In my past life, the regent prince rebelled on the 5th day after my marriage to Shui Zhao. Now, there was absolutely no chance I would marry him again. The next morning at court, Shui Zhao presented my mother's imperial decree, kneeling to plead for the annulment of our betrothal and to marry me instead. He thought his wish had finally been granted. But my father, the emperor, flew into a rage. Not only did he reject Shui Zhao's request, but he also ordered him to receive 20 lashes. The moment court adjourned, he hobbled over to settle the score with me. You knew all along this marriage couldn't be called off, didn't you? He was like a ferocious beast escaped from its cage, snarling threats to tear me limb from limb. Perched on Lin Heng's lap, I leaned against his shoulder, laughing so hard I trembled like a blossoming branch. Yes, I always knew. Only a pig-headed fool like you would think our marriage was merely due to mother's imperial decree. He kicked the table over, snarling, I won't marry you. I only want Suishi. No one ever said you had to. I curled my lip in disgust. Minister Shui, Father Emperor arranged this marriage to use you as leverage against my maternal family. As long as the Wang clan endures, as long as my maternal grandfather and cousin remain, your marriage will forever be a pawn to restrain them. You'll never marry the one you truly desire. My lips parted gently as I delivered the final vicious blow. You've met my cousin, haven't you, Lord Shui? A fine young man, truly handsome and distinguished. Now that he's of marriageable age, he's turned his attention away from the capital's most eligible maidens and set his sights on your own cousin, Suishi. Tell me, Lord Shui, isn't this a match made in heaven? My cousin has already knelt before His Majesty to request the marriage. The Emperor was most pleased, even suggesting we hold the wedding ceremonies for all 4 of us together, forever uniting the Shui and Wang families in a bond of kinship. I covered my mouth with a smile. Your Excellency. Well, my cousin is handsome and charming, ever the tender soul. He will surely care for Suishi well. Shui Zhao's eyes flashed crimson with fury. His finger trembled as it pointed at me before he flung open his robe and stormed out of the mansion. Lin Heng held a peeled grape to my lips, his tone unexpectedly dangerous. Still want to marry him? Before I could answer, he leaned down and captured my lips, biting through the plump grape. Sweet juice seeped onto my taste buds. I frowned and hissed softly. He pressed my head back, preventing me from pulling away. His kiss grew fiercer, not lessening. Just as I was losing myself, he suddenly bit my tongue tip, the metallic taste of blood spreading. His breath was ragged, his eyes red-rimmed, fingers trembling as he roughly wiped away the tears welling in my eyes from the struggle to breathe. His dark eyes glowed with savagery, his voice hoarse. This lifetime, you are forbidden to marry him again. You promised to make it up to me. My maternal grandfather worked with astonishing efficiency. Not only did he persuade Uncle Xia to obtain the military token for the Northern Garrison's deployment order, but he also sent me a shaman doctor. The delivery was made by my cousin's personal attendant. who informed me that after leaving the princess's residence, Shui Zhao had rushed straight to his master's quarters, where the two had come to blows in the courtyard. Even before the morning court session, I had anticipated Shui Zhao's impatience. I specifically instructed my cousin that if Shui Zhao came to the residence to cause trouble, he should provoke him into a fight. The more severe the injuries to Shui Zhao's face, the better. News from the palace arrived. Father the Emperor flew into a rage, rebuking both my cousin and Shui Zhao. He also issued an edict postponing my wedding. Postponed. Indeed. According to my cousin's servant, my cousin showed no mercy. Shui Zhao's eye was beaten so badly it was swollen shut, unable to open at all. TSK. What a pity! What a terrible shame! If I could climb walls, I'd scale the Shui residence right now just to get a good look. I brought the witch doctor to examine Lin Heng, but he was unusually uncooperative, refusing to extend his hand for the pulse reading. After coaxing him for ages to no avail, I lost my temper and knocked him unconscious. Utterly stubborn. What kind of poisonous insect is inside him? Could it be fatal? I asked the witch doctor. After taking his pulse, the shaman pulled a long, bamboo tube-like box from his robe. He scooped out a hideous-looking insect and placed it on Lin Heng's finger. Instantly, it bit through his skin and burrowed into his body. I watched nervously, my heart pounding wildly. Moments later, the shaman's face paled. The insect that had entered Lin Heng's body had crawled out again, motionless, dead. The poison within the young master is a mother and child bug. Its venom is fierce. The only antidote is to place the mother bug upon a woman, nourishing it with her own bloodline. Only then can the young master's life be sustained. I extended my hand to the shaman. Then what are you waiting for? Place it on me. Use my blood. If the mother bug is placed on your highness, then henceforth, you and the young master will share life and death. Should harm come to the mother bug, the child bug cannot survive alone. Should the child bug meet misfortune, the mother bug will not escape either. Have you considered this clearly, Your Highness? What is there to think about? I owe him my life. Giving him mine is only right. I urged him on. Proceed. How do you bind the curse? The shaman asked no more questions. He drew the dagger from his waist, made a cut in Lin Heng's palm, then turned and handed the dagger to me. Your Highness, your precious body. I took it without a word and made a cut in my own palm. The shaman pressed my wound against Lin Heng's, and our blood mingled. Soon, the pain was so intense I could barely speak, feeling something crawl from the wound into my body. When Lin Heng awoke, I was discussing matters with my cousin. Seeing him stir, I handed half the military token to my cousin and instructed, proceed with caution. Claim illness today, no need to attend court. My cousin nodded and left. I poured the restorative medicine, simmering steadily on the stove, into a bowl and lifted it to feed him. Before I could speak, he grabbed my wrist. I clenched my palm. Drink the medicine. Let me see. His lips were deathly pale. What's there to see? Drink it quickly. He stared at me stubbornly. I want to see. After you finish, I'll let you see. Okay? I coaxed. He took the bowl, ignoring its heat, and downed it in one gulp. Let me see. Have you lost your mind? I gripped his chin. You'll scald yourself to death. His eyes had turned red without me noticing. He tugged at my sleeve stubbornly. Go fetch the witch doctor back. Bring the mother bug back. I've been frail since childhood. My days are numbered. I can't burden you. What burden? Life is but a fleeting dream, a mere instant. Only the days spent with the one you love are truly lived. Otherwise, you're just a walking corpse, barely existing. I cradled his face, pressed my lips to his, and softened my voice. Lin Heng, In life we share the same room, in death we share the same grave. Others can only envy what we have. We'll be buried together, registered before the King of Hell. And in the next life, we'll be husband and wife again. He turned his face away, wiping his eyes to hide his tears from me. Who would want to be married to a blind fool like you? In my past life, I offered 5 cities of Chu as dowry and the 3 rivers as tribute to marry you as the princess of Chu. You refused me. You insisted on marrying him. You never loved me at all. This life, you only agreed to be with me because I died for you last time. You pity me. Zhao Hua. Why deceive yourself? I pulled him close. Youthful affection is always shallow. My fondness for Shui Zhao stemmed only from his striking looks. He didn't love me, so I clung to him more desperately. That entanglement was born of youthful naivety. He was the product of my rivalry with Sui Shi. I refused to lose, so I became trapped within it, unable to break free from the prison, ultimately ending in a hasty demise. But you are different. Lin Heng. You treat me well, even risking your life to come and die for me. How could I not be moved? How could I not dare to be touched? I cannot say how much I love you, but I am willing to love you. Each day I love you a little more. Day by day, year by year, until all I see and all I desire is you. What is wrong with a slow, steady love? Why must love be nothing but breathtaking, soul-stealing passion? He seized my wrist with his free hand, pinning me to the bed. Warm tears fell upon my neck and shoulders. His scorching breath tangling around my ear. Love me more today than you did yesterday. Just as I was about to say yes, he pressed on. Sulky and childish, am I more handsome than him? I chuckled, yes. Lin Sanlang is the most handsome. Peerless beauty, unmatched in this world. His ears flushed crimson again. You're beautiful too. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. 10 days later, Father Emperor indeed issued an edict proclaiming Princess Sui Yan as Empress. The palace sent special envoys to bring Sui Yan to court to learn the ceremonial rites for the grand wedding. That very night, dreadful news arrived. Princess Sui Yan had died suddenly and inexplicably within the palace walls. Enraged, the regent prince immediately rebelled, seizing Qing and Yanzhou provinces one after another. He executed the governors of both provinces, offering their severed heads as sacrifices to his banner. Chaos erupted in the capital. Father ordered Shui Zhao to lead the central army to quell the rebellion, while commanding General Xia to defend the palace city at all costs. Just as in his previous life, Shui Zhao opened the city gates, allowing the regent prince to pass through Jinko and march straight toward the royal capital. Yet he himself led a separate contingent of troops to the Wang family estate. The Wang residence's gates crashed open as Shui Zhao charged in on horseback, reins in one hand, sword in the other. Leave no survivors, he commanded coldly. His words barely echoed when 3,000 hidden guards burst forth, bows drawn and arrows aimed squarely at him. I pushed open the door, leaning against the frame as I idly plucked the bowstring in my hand. A slow smile spread across my face. Minister Shui. It's been an age. His face darkened, yet he forced a smile. Today, I march in the Emperor's name to subdue rebels. Seeing the traitors enter the Wang residence, I led my men here to protect Chancellor Wang's safety. I snorted derisively. To still be putting on this act at this critical juncture, that's quite something. Hoofbeats echoed outside as my cousin arrived with the young General Xia, followed by another 4,000 palace guards assigned by Uncle Xia to my grandfather. Shui Zhao was now surrounded, with no escape. His face darkened. What do you intend? Rebellion? How could that be? I'm merely executing the plan devised by Lord Shui and His Majesty. It's a trap. A case of catching a turtle in a jar. The Emperor ordered Lord Xia to station 200,000 troops to guard the royal capital, luring you to bring the regent prince into the city. Then, with you and them attacking from both sides, We trapped the turtle in the jar, eliminating the regent prince and purging the Wang family in one fell swoop. I'm merely returning the favor. He finally understood, his face turning ashen. You intend to use the rebel king to kill his majesty. Then have that old bastard Xia Huai crush the rebel king. You have the audacity to kill your own father. I plucked the bowstring, took the arrow Lin Heng handed me, drew the bow, and aimed at Shui Zhao. He bore me no pain of birth, showed me no kindness in raising me. Yet he killed my mother. If this is patricide, so be it. Let future historians judge my merits and faults through their ink and paper. I fear nothing. I seek only justice. The arrow sliced through the air with a piercing whistle, striking Shui Zhao squarely between the eyes. I watched coldly as he tumbled from his horse like a kite whose string had snapped, his eyes wide open, refusing to close in death. In the distance, fireworks bloomed over the royal city. I touched the blood smeared on my fingertip from the bowstring's grip, feeling as though I had stepped into another lifetime. This was the justice I had claimed with my own hands. Mother, in the long, lonely nights, you loved him for so many years. Now he must descend to atone and repent before you. Father died by the regent's blade. Uncle Xia led the troops to suppress the rebellion, defending the royal city until the traitors were finally executed. The Shui family, complicit in the regent's treason, has been confiscated and exiled. The imperial consort hanged herself. At year's end, she entered a Buddhist temple to practice asceticism, never to leave for all eternity. The crown prince was diagnosed with madness and deemed unfit to inherit the throne. My maternal grandfather and Uncle Xia supported Prince Linghen to ascend, restoring the rightful line. Lin Heng brought me a cloak and helped me put it on. What are you thinking about? I yawned. Now that this matter is settled, what should I do next? Lin Heng took my hand and rubbed it. What do you want to do? I leaned against his chest. Ah Heng, I've grown weary of this capital. I wish to travel the world. I've seen the heights of the imperial court and the treacherous schemes of power. Yet I've never witnessed the vastness of the rivers and lakes, nor experienced the hardships of the common people. As a princess, I've merely enjoyed the taxes paid by the people without ever doing anything for them. It's truly shameful. If you wish to go, I will accompany you. I gazed at him, hesitating. This journey will be arduous and uncertain. Who knows when we might return home? He smiled with a carefree, rebellious charm. The world is vast. Wherever my heart finds peace, that is my home. The end.